ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां
सदाशिवसमारम्भां
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
अस्मदाचार्य
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां
वन्दे
वन्दे
गुरुपरम्पराम्।
गुरुपरम्पराम्।
ॐ
ॐ
सहना
ॐ
भवतु
सहना
सहनावतु
भवतु
सहनौ
सहनौ
भुनक्तु
वीर्यं
सह
भुनक्तु
कर्वावहै
वीर्यं
सह
करवावहै
वीर्यं करवावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
मा
मा
विद्विषावहै।
ॐ
विद्विषावहै।
शान्ति
ॐ
शान्ति
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 शान्तिः।
शान्तिः शान्ति।
ॐ तत्सत् ॐ नमः शिवाय गुड
तत्सत् ओम नमः
मॉर्निंग
ॐ
शिवाय
तत्सत्
ॐ तत्सत् ॐ नमः शिवाय।
तत्सत् ॐ नमः।
So we will continue with where we left off. We had completed the second Valli of the second chapter, and now we are on the third Valli. So, third Valli, at the third section, second chapter, mantra number 1. So please unmute yourself and we will chant. Urdhamolo vakshakah
ऊर्ध्वमूलो
ऊर्ध्वमूलो
शाखः
शाखम्
esho ashvattha sanatana
एषोऽश्व
ईशो
सनातनः
tadeva shukram tad brahma
तदेव
तदेव
शुक्रं
शुक्रं
ब्रह्मा
तद्ब्रह्म
tadevamrutam uchyate
तदेवामृतमुच्यते
तदेवामृतमुच्यते
अस्मिन् लोकाश्रिता सर्वे
तस्मिन्
अस्मल्लोकाः
लोकाश्रिता सर्वे
तदुनात्येति कश्चन
तदुनात्येति
तदुनात्येति
कश्चन
कश्चन
एतद्वै तत्
एतद्वै
एतद्वैतत्
तत्
तत्
Okay. So this Valli, this section consists of 18 mantras and there are three topics. Magyanam, Magyana Sadhanani and Brahma Jnana Phala. And this Valli begins with the definition of Brahman. This is the definition of Brahman as Jagat Karana, right? So here it is both Nimitta Karanam as well as Upadana Karanam. Like the example in the Mundaka Upanishad. That is a spider example, right? So here it says the universe has emerged from Brahman, is sustained by Brahman, and resolves into Brahman alone at Pralaya. What is the advantage of knowing this Brahman? One gets moksha. So Jagat Karana Brahma Jnanena Eva Sapraptihi. Only by knowing that Brahman, who is the Jagat Karanam, can you get moksha. And the peculiar thing is what? When I inquire into that Jagat Karana Brahman, what do I find? That Brahman is I myself. And remember, Brahman is the basic Upadana Karanam of creation. Therefore, I find to my astonishment that I am the basic Upadana Karanam of the entire universe. And not only that, since I am the Upadana Karanam, I am the Srishti Karanam, Sthiti Karanam, and Laya Karanam. And this knowledge alone gives liberation. Jnana eva kaivalyam. So the first two mantras are presenting Brahman as Jagat Karan. And when I say that Upadana Karanam is Srishti Karanam, Sthiti Karanam, and Laya Karanam, what will be if you are saying that, supposing you say Brahman is only Srishti Karanam, Srishti Matra Karanam, then remember, Srishti Matra Karanam is Nimitta Karanam. But when you say something is Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya Karanam, it is always Upadana Karanam. This is the difference between Srishti Karanam Nimitta Karanam. That is Nimitta Karanam and Upadana Karanam. The difference is this. Nimitta Karanam is Srishti Matra Karanam. Only Srishti Karanam. While Upadana Karanam is Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya Karanam. I trust that distinction is clear because that distinction is important to understand. So I'm asking again, do you understand why when you say something is Nimitta Karanam, it is only the Srishti Karanam. But when you say something is Upadana Karanam, it necessarily has to be Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya Karanam. I hope you understand. Any doubts about that?
Yes. Sorry, Acharya ji,
Sir, could you explain, sir?
Srishti and Sthiti is okay, but Laya, is it because of the nature of Anatma?
No. When the carpenter makes a chair, the carpenter is Srishti Matra Karanam. Why?
Because he's not gonna
You have to explain
exterior.
logically. Because the chair can exist in your house without the presence of the carpenter. So he is not Sthiti Karanam. And the chair can be destroyed without the presence of the carpenter. So he is not Laya Karanam also. But the chair cannot be prepared without the presence of the carpenter. Therefore, he is Srishti Karanam. Can you give an example of Upadana Karanam in that case?
Example could be wood. So the wood is there for the existence for Srishti, Sthiti, also Laya.
Explain.
Because it gives the very existence of the table is wood.
Yes.
Like the
The
table
table
wouldn't be
cannot
there.
exist without the wood. So it is Sthiti Karanam also. And when the table is destroyed, there is still wood remaining. Therefore, it is Laya Karanam also. So there's a difference, okay? It's very important to understand the difference. Okay. Now let's look at the words of this mantra. Eshaha. Where is Eshaha? In the second word. Eshaha Ashwathaha Sanatanaha. So you have to separate that. Eshaha. What is this Eshaha? Eshaha means this. What is this? This Jagat, this universe. Sanatanaha Ashwathaha is like the eternal Ashwatha tree. What is Ashwatha tree in English?
Victory.
The fig
It's a
tree.
fig tree. Therefore, this universe is like the eternal fig tree and Urdhva Mulaha. Mulaha is what?
The root.
The
Roots.
root. Urdhva Mulaha, the root is above, Urdhvam, and end.
Adashakam.
Vak Shakaha. Avak Shakaha. Right? So the branches are below Tadeva Shukram. That Moolam alone, that root alone is pure consciousness. Tada Amritam, that root alone is immortal. Tadeva Brahma Uchyate, that indeed is said to be Brahman. Sarve Lokaha Shritaha Tasmin. All the worlds, all the 14 lokas are based on that Brahman. Nakaschana Atyeti Tat. Nothing real. Is only an is exclamation mark. Nothing, verily, indeed. So indeed, nothing atyeti tat, nothing exceeds that Brahman. Nothing is beyond that Brahman. And this is indeed that. Etad vaitat, Vanachiketas, etad vaitat. This indeed is that Brahman that you asked about. A very famous mantra. And Krishna has borrowed from this mantra where
Chapter 15.
15th chapter, first three slokas are based on this mantra.
Mhm.
Okay, that you must remember. Nothing in the Bhagavad Gita is original teaching. Right? That Krishna himself mentions in chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita that it's all been taught before. Now, the meaning of this mantra actually we have seen in Bhagavad Gita, and that here also Shankara writes a very, very beautiful commentary on this mantra, and we will look at the meaning of this mantra based on Shankaracharya's commentary. So, Vriksha, Shankara adds Vriksha, and Vriksha is derived from the word Vrishcha, that which can be cut. So, that which can be cut is a fig tree or a peepal tree, right? Now, Shankara defines samsara very beautifully. In his commentary, he defines samsara. So I will read out those words for you and we can understand the beauty of that definition. So he says samsara is janama, jara, marana, shoka, adi. You can understand? Samsara consists of janama, birth, jara. What is jara?
Old age. Old age.
Old
Vruddhatva,
age.
old age, maranaha, death, shokaha, adi. That is sorrow, etc. And not only that, pratikshanam, anyata swabhava. Pratikshanam, anyatha swabhava. Anyata swabhava means changing nature. Swabhava changes, becomes something else. Anyatha swabhava. That nature changes every instant. Pratikshanam, every single instant it changes. And something which is constantly changing is difficult to understand. And therefore he says, this samsara, which is janma jara marana shoka adi pratikshanam anyatha svabhavaha, that is maricha udakaha. It is like the mirage water, the udakaha in the marichi, in the desert. What is speciality? You can see the water, but when you want to drink that water and when you go close to it, you find it is no longer there. So he uses one adjective, maricha udakaha, like the mirage water in the desert. Also, he uses another adjective, Gandharva Nagari. What is Gandharva Nagari? We did one particular text, small one. Anybody remembers?
Dakshinamurti.
Dakshinamurti Stotra, Gandharva Nagari. What is Gandharva Nagari? It's a Shastric reference to when you look up at the sky on a clear day, and there are some clouds in the sky, right? So you can imagine that all those clouds they look like a apparent city in the sky. So there are vehicles, there are animals, all these can be imagined. So that's called Gandharva Nagari, imaginary city in the sky. And he says the nature is very nice words he uses. Drishta, Nashta, Swarupatvat. The nature is Swarupa. Nature is what? Drishta Nashtaha. Appears and disappears. Something is born and then immediately it is gone. And avasane, at the end, abhav atmakaha, vrikshavat. So now he comes to the definition of samsara, which says avasane, at the end of its life cycle, which means pralayam. What happens? It vanishes. Abhava atmakaha. It just vanishes. How? Vrikshavat, like the people tree, like the fig tree, which also vanishes. A very beautiful definition. Now, this cycle you can actually see in history also. There have been thousands of dynasties all over the world. You look at India itself. We had very many, very mighty dynasties. Maurya dynasty, Chandragupta Maurya dynasty, Ashoka dynasty, Kushan dynasty, Kanishka dynasty, Gupta dynasty, the Vardhana dynasty, the Ghazni dynasty, the Chola dynasty, the Lodi dynasty. I hope you all remember all these things from your history days. All were very, very powerful dynasties. What remains? Nothing. So it reminds me of an old little, poem. Many of you may have read it. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, you mighty, and despair. So this is the inscription on a statue of a king, King Ozymandias. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, you mighty, and despair. And the traveler who discovered this statue, he writes, nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. It's a Shelley's poem, very beautiful one, indicating what? However mighty you may have been in your time, time destroys everything. And this is what Shankara is trying to convey. The samsara is nissaraha. It has no essence at all. So I don't know if any one of you have had the fortune of staying on a farm. Like when I was a kid, my uncle had this thing which you should, when we were doing nothing, when all the kids were, useless and running around, he would present us with a banana tree stem and he would say, you peel it and find out what is underneath. What do you think happens when you peel the banana tree stem?
It keeps peeling one layer after the other.
It keeps on peeling. Ultimately, what happens? To essence, nothing remains. Nissara. Of course, same thing can be said about the onion also. So here he is conveying that this universe, this Jagat, can be compared to Ashwatthha tree. Now, derivation of Ashwatthha is very important. The word Shwaha in Sanskrit, it means tomorrow. Shwaha. Okay. So Shwaha na tishtati, that which does not remain for tomorrow. Shwaha na tishtati iti Ashwatthah. So Ashwatthah tree means that which will not stay tomorrow, that will get destroyed. And tomorrow you can read as the future. So that which has no future, it will not be there in the future. Right? And therefore, that is the reason why Shankara says that the vriks word should be taken as that which can be. Why? Because samsara will vanish when during pralayam, samsara vanishes, but it's the potential form. It vanishes permanently after jnana. So he's comparing the universe to a Ashwatthah vriksha. And when you compare things, there will be some similarities, right? So what are the similarities between the universe and the Ashwatthah tree? So some are mentioned in this mantra itself, some of the similarities. And if you remember 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, some are mentioned there by Lord Krishna, and some are also mentioned by Shankaracharya in his comment. So let us look at some of them. The most obvious is that both are very big, mahatvam, huge in size, right? And even today, we are not able to comprehend the size of the universe because it is not stable. It is continuously expanding. So Mahatvam, both samsara and the fig tree are huge in size. Then Adrishta Mulatva, which means the root is not visible. Adrishta. The Mulaha, the root, is Adrishtaha. The support cannot be seen. The fig tree is obviously so big. If you look down, all the roots are below the ground, so you can't see. And the universe also has a support, which is what? Which is Brahman. But that Brahman is Pratyaksha Agochara. Cannot be, is not available to your five senses. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's an example. When you want to water the whole Ashwatha tree, you should give water only to the root. And even though I am watering only the root, I can be sure that the nourishment given by the water is reaching all the branches and all the leaves also, even though I cannot see how it reaches. Why is this comparison? Because when I give any oblation to the Lord, like when you're sitting in a home and you're offering a oblation to the Lord, you are not just giving the oblation to the fire, you are offering it to the Lord. The nourishment reaches the entire universe, which of course includes you also, but you don't know how it reaches, right? Then the third one is Bahu Shakatvam. You can understand Bahu Shakam means what?
Many
Many
branches.
branches.
The tree has many branches. Some are below, some are above. Similarly, this universe, this Jagat, has many lokas, Atala, Patala, Rasala, etc. Right? So they are the lower lokas, and Bhuloka is the middle one, and Swargaloka, etc., are the upper branches. So lower branches, middle branches, upper branches. Universe also has. Just like the tree has many branches, the universe has many lokas. The lokas can be compared to the branches. Then Paranaha, Paranavatvam. The tree has lot of leaves. Paranani. Remember the name from Bhagavad Gita. Paranani. What is the function of the leaves in a tree?
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis. What does photosynthesis do?
Taps the
The
sunlight,
plant as food.
makes food for the entire.
It nourishes the tree, right? So the leaves act as nourishment. Similarly, the tree of samsara is sustained by what?
Karma.
Karma. Therefore, the leaves of the tree of samsara are called karma. So especially Vaidika karma. In general, karma kanda. How do you say that karma sustains samsara? What is the logic of saying that karma sustains the universe?
Karma produces papam or punyam,
Hmm,
and that's how the cycle of samsara and creation goes on.
excellent. So karma produces papam and punyam. And because of that papam and punyam alone, you have punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. The cycle of creation is sustained solely because of karma. And therefore, we say that the universe, the creation of the universe is solely because karma is required to be exhausted. That is the fourth one. Fifth one is the fruits, phalavatvam. The tree will produce phalam, the fruits. Similarly, the universe produces many fruits. So some bitter, some sweet, some intermediate. So sukham, dukkham. That is the tree of samsara. Then, when you look at the tree, you will find that a lot of birds come and sit on the upper and lower branches. And it is the birds which consume the fruits. Similarly, the universe is full of all sort of jivas. It doesn't mean only human beings. So you have devas who are jivas, you have manushya's who are jivas, you have rakshasas who are jivas. You have animals who are jivas, birds who are jivas, insects who are jivas, trees are there also. All these, they sit on different branches. So, like some birds sit on upper branches, some jivas sit on the higher lokas, other jivas sit in bhuloka, and there are still other jivas who sit in the lower lokas, like patala loka, etc. They all consume this fruit of sukham and dukkham, right? Then there is what is known as chalanam. Chalanam means movement, violent movement. Why is the tree said to have chalanam? Why is the tree said to have movement? Obviously, we are not talking about the movement of the tree from its place because the roots are embedded into the ground. Trees don't walk. What movement is there?
The leaves
The wind.
swaying.
The wind.
When
The leaves, the branches, they all sway, especially in the rainy season. They move very violently with the wind. Similarly, this universe is always shaken violently. You have wars, you have earthquakes, you have economic recession, right? Another idea here is that it is not one branch alone which moves. If one branch moves, others also move. And similarly, this Jagat universe, the tree, universe tree, is shaken by the winds of karma. The Ashwatha tree moves with the normal Vayu. The Vayu for the universe is karma Vayu, the winds of karma. Especially the what we call the macro prarabdha, right? So you prarabdha you can divide into macro and micro, or in Sanskrit, Vyashti prarabdha and Samashti prarabdha. So Vyashti prarabdha bothers only the individual, but there is also the question of Samashti prarabdha, which leads to you know events where more than one person is affected. So a war, for example, earthquake, a flood, you know, a disaster. All these are effects of samashti prarabdha, macro prarabdha. They will also shake the universe. And the universe can also be very violently shaken by these events. And then, of course, both are anirvachaniyam. You cannot explain. Whenever you try to analyze the universe, you will find unanswered questions. Then you might say, but I can analyze the tree. I say you can't. You'll always have unanswered questions. What is that? Supposing you say, analyze this tree. What is the first question? What is the first question in analyzing a tree?
which comes first, the seed or the tree?
Yes. So you say, how did this tree come? And then you will say, because of the seed. And then I will ask, how did the seed come? And then you will say, because of the tree. So I will ask, which came first, tree or seed? And there's no answer to that question. Right? The only answer is it's a cycle. Similarly, this universe, what is the seed? Karma. So I will say which came first, karma or janma. It is not possible to say which is the cause and which is the effect. Right. For example, take the scientific word for the creation of the universe. What is the scientific word?
The Big Bang.
Big Bang. So how did the Big Bang come? No one knows. Science defines Big Bang. Science tells you what happens after the Big Bang. And science tells you that before the Big Bang, all we can say is there is a condition called singularity. Right? That is the word they use, singularity. Singularity is a state of no information. We also say the same thing. We don't say singularity. We say before this universe, what was there? Mula avidya, which is called Maya, which is called anirvachaniyam. Anirvachaniyam means that which cannot be defined. It's a state of no information. So singularity is Mula avidya. If you want to draw comparison, then though you can say that every tree will have a janma and marana, every tree will have a beginning and an end. You must remember that this this beginning and end, anityatvam, is only applicable to the individual tree, but it is not applicable to the series, the flow. What is the flow? Tree produces a seed, seed produces another tree. That tree will produce more seeds. Each seed will produce more trees. Therefore, while the tree by itself, in its individual form, the Vyashti tree is anityam, the pravaha, the flow, the series of tree, seed, tree, seed, tree, seed, that never stops. So even though every tree has an end, every seed has an end, both combined, they flow in a eternal chain, eternal flow, pravaha, called the seed, tree flow, the series. This is the vision of the tree and seed. What about the jiva? It is the same vision. Every jiva seems to have a birth and seems to have a death. But the chain is eternal. The jiva does not end at his death, but is reborn in another body. Therefore, in the form of karma, janma, the jiva also is pravaha. The jiva is a continuous flow. That flow is eternal. It's a very nice analogy. Shankaracharya brings it out beautifully. Then we'll take just one more. There is something called the uprootability of the tree, or the destructibility, you can call it. Both can be destroyed. Even though the tree flow may continue while the tree and seed are there, it is possible to disrupt the flow. How? If you cut the tree or burn the tree or what, destroy the tree, the uprooted or destroyed tree cannot produce seeds, and therefore the flow can be ended by uprooting. Similarly, the jiva's flow can be uprooted. When you say uprooting, what is actually happening? You are destroying the root, right? The root of the tree when destroyed, tree is destroyed. What is the root of the jiva?
Avidya.
Births
Mhm.
Karma.
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 The root of the jiva is karma, because karma, avidya, of course, is the main cause. And to destroy karma, you have to destroy the main cause, avidya. So if you destroy the seeds of karma, you are destroying the seeds of avidya. To destroy the seeds of avidya, there is only one gun and one bullet. What is that? You have to use the jnanam gun and fire the Aham Brahmasmi bullet. Right? So the tree has a invisible root. And for any solution to the problem, you have to focus on that root. What is the root of samsara? Brahman. To understand samsara, to destroy samsara, you have to focus on Brahman. May you know that Brahman. With this background, let us look at the words. Esha Ashwathaha. This huge universe is like the people tree, Urdhvamulaha, with the invisible root, which is Brahman. And here Urdhvam means beyond the sense organs, Aprameyam. So that's why he said, Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra taraka. It's not available to you. And avak shakaha. So avak here literally means inferior. So perceptible to the five pramanams. Avak shakaha. The Jagat universe is perceptible to all the five pramanams. Therefore, it is inferior. And sanatanaha. Sanatahana here has to take as eternal, the pravaha, the flow of continuity. Pravaha nityam, remember, means death will not put an end to samsara. The flow is eternal, right? Therefore, if you want samsara to end for you, you have to attack the root, which is avidya. And so Lord Yama is saying here, of the various parts of the samsara tree, branches, trunk, you know, the fruits, the leaves, let us focus on what? On the moolam, the root. And he says this moolam is, unfortunately, it's not available for scientific inquiry. It is not visible at all. You cannot use your five sense organs to inquire into this moolam simply because they are pramana agocharaha. That Brahman is not available to any of your pramanams. Therefore, you cannot use your five senses for scientific inquiry. No pramanam is available. Therefore, there is a different pramanam is required, which is nothing but Shastra. And that Brahma, that is nothing other than Brahman, unlimited Brahman, not limited by time and space. The universe is subject to time and space, but Brahman is Desha, Kala, Atita, beyond space and time. And Tadeva Shukra, that Brahman is Shuddham. Shukram means pure, free, Shuddham. And here Shuddham means what? Free from all kind of problems created by karma. And Shankara says, Shukram you can take as nature of pure consciousness. So Tadeva Shukram, he says, the samsara tree has a moolam, a karanam. And what is this karanam? He says there is avidya. It's a very nice definition he gives here. This samsara tree has a moolam, a karanam, which has two parts or two ways of looking. Avidya is the parinami upadana karanam. Brahman is vivarta upadana karanam. I am not explaining. You all know the meanings. And Tadeva, that Brahman alone, Amritam Uchyate, is said to be immortal. Unlike this is the difference, unlike the mulam of a tree. Unlike the root of a tree which can be destroyed, this Brahman cannot be touched. And it is the eternal principle, Sat. So the word Tat Amritam in this mantra is very important because it indicates that Brahman is Vivart Upadanaka, indestructible, unchangeable Upadana Karanam. Right? So here we are saying that when you say that this Karanam consists of Parinami Upadana Karanam, and Vivarta Upadana Karana. It's a very important understanding. Brahman cannot be the Parinami Upadana Karana. Why?
It is
Changeless. There is no change occurring in Brahman.
unchanging cause.
So, give an example of a Parinami Upadana Karana.
Milk curd.
Milk into curds. When milk changes into curds, or you can say when curd or yogurt is born from milk, the milk destroys itself. It, in the production of the product, the creator destroys itself. Therefore, the milk is no longer existing when the curds have been formed. While in the case of the rope producing the snake, the rope is Vivarta Vadanagana. There is no change in the rope at all. Okay, then what are the other words here? Tasmin. Tasmin sarve lokashritaha. So tasmin. So here, what is this tasmin? So Shankaracharya says you have to understand tasmin as Paramartha Satya Brahman. On that Brahman, which is Paramarthika Satyam. And when you say Paramarthika Satyam, I just use the words Vivarta Upadanakara. That unchanging Brahman, which is the Paramarthika Satyam, is superimposed what? Lokaha. The lokas. So Shankara gives Gandharva Nagara, Maricha Udakaha, Ayasamaha, etc. Right? So it's very similar to the Gandharva Nagara, the city in the clouds, the Maricha Udakaha, the mirage water, and Maya Samaha. Maya Samaha here, this Maya is not the Maya of Vedanta. This is the Laukika Maya, Maya of the magician, which appears as something but is not really there. So these are all Vyavaharika Satya. So he says, on that Paramarthika Brahman, the Vyavaharika Satyam is superimposed. And when Jnanam comes, when you have gone through Vedanta properly and assimilated, you will know that, really speaking, all these lokas are not existing at all. And therefore, Sritaha, they are Asritaha, they are dependent upon Brahman. What is dependent upon Brahman? The entire Jagat, Sarve. Sarve means all the 14 lokas are dependent upon that Paramarthika Brahman. In short, the entire Vyavaharika universe, consisting of all the 14 lokas, is supported by the Paramarthika Brahman, just as the pot and the plate made of clay are supported by the material called the Upadana Karanam, the clay. Just as all the bangles and ornaments are supported by the Upadana Karanam, the gold. And this is why we say that the material cause, the Upadana Karanam alone, lends existence to the Karya. The ornaments borrow existence only from the gold. Similarly, the entire universe borrows existence from the material cause, which is Maya alone. Therefore, Sarve Lokaha is Mithya. And so he says, Kaschana Taduna Atyeti, nothing exists beyond this Brahman. Apart from the Brahman, beyond here has to be taken as Atyeti literally means beyond, right? Exceeds, nothing exceeds Brahman. So you have to understand this as nothing is separate. Just like the pot does not exist separately from the clay, this entire universe of 14 lokas cannot exist separate from Brahman. Brahman in its Upadana Karana Avatara permeates the universe through and through. And in Achiketas, etat vaitat. This is the Brahman that you wanted to know. Very, very nice and long mantra, very important mantra. Any questions? Okay. So we will look at the second mantra.
Acharya, just one question out of curiosity. Is there a particular reason that the tree is being described to be upside down?
Because the moolam cannot be seen. The root cannot be seen.
Okay.
Urdhvam literally means above your head. So the root is above my head. It's a connection with Brahman alone. The root of the physical tree you can very much see by digging up the mud, right?
Gee, thank you.
Okay, we look at the second mantra. We will chant. Yadidam kincha jagat sarvam
यदिदं
Yadidam
तदिदं किं
kimcha jagat
सर्वं
जगत्
sarvam
सर्वम्
mahadbhayam vajram udyatam. Sorry. Yadidam kincha jagat sarvam
यदिदं
यदिदं
Yadidam
किं
kimcha
जगत्
jagat
सर्वम्
सर्वं
sarvam
prana ejeti nisrutam
Pranayeti
प्राणेति
nisrutam
प्राणेति
mahadbhayam vajram udyatam
महद्भयं
महद्भयं वज्रमुद्यतम्
Vajramudyam
एतद् विदृमृतास्ते भवन्ति
य
Etat
एतद्विदुरमुत्तास्ते भवन्ति
bhavanti.
भवन्ति
एतद्
So let us look at what it says. Idam sarvam jagat. This entire universe. Where is that? Yadidam. So idam has to be separated. Idam sarvam jagat. Yat kincha. Whatever it consists of. Nisratam. Nisratam means is born from, is emerges. And ejeti. Ejeti means moves. Why? Prane. And prana here means Brahman. So this entire universe emerges from Brahman and moves because of Brahman. And Mahad Bhayam. It is a great, it's an object of great fear. Udyatam Vajram. Like a person with a uplifted. Vajram literally means the thunderbolt that Indra uses. So it's a weapon with an uplifted weapon. And te ye viduhu etat, those who know this, amritaha bhavanti. They become immortal. They get moksha. So we should note here, before talking further about this, what we discussed in the last mantra, that the existence of a product is always borrowed from the parinami upadana karana, not from the vivarta upadana karana. Right? When I say this necklace is, the isness existence of the necklace is given by what? Is given by the gold, the parinami upadanakara. Because the gold changes form, it doesn't remain as the original lump of gold or original brick of gold. And Brahman, remember, is both upadana as well as nimittakara. Now, prane ejeti, and because of that Brahman, it moves. And we saw elsewhere, pranasya pranaha. Brahman is that which makes it prana move. Therefore, prane, in the presence of that Brahman alone. Sarvam jagat nisratam. The universe is born in the presence of that Brahman alone. Right? Just as the waves are born only when the water is there, or the dream universe can arise only when the dreamer is projected by the waker. So Nisritam means evolves. So you have taken as Srishti Karanam. And Ajayati means moves all the time. Nothing in creation is ever stationary. That is why Nataraja's cosmic dance. The hair is straight. The constant movement is indicated by the straight hair, saying that nothing in this creation can be stationary. So, Ajayati is Sthiti Karanam, Visrutam is Srishti Karanam. And therefore, he's saying here that Brahman is Srishti and Sthiti Karanam, which means Brahman is the Parinami Upadana Karanam. Okay. Then he talks about Brahman as Nimitta Karanam, the efficient cause. Right? By way of what? By way of the laws of nature, the ethical and the physical laws of nature. Because all the natural laws of nature, the physical laws, as well as the law of karma, the ethical law, remember, they will produce results. And any karma produces any visible karma, invisible karma. They produce invisible papa punya also. Karma is visible, the intention is not visible. There is a visible result which you can probably see, and there is an invisible adrishta result which you cannot see, called papam and punyam. And if how do I know that it produces papam and punyam? How can I say that karma produces papam and punyam? What is the logic on which I say that when I do a good action, punyam is produced?
आचार्य जी शब्द प्रमाणम
Only the
शास्त्र
pramana. It's only Veda which says that karma produces punyam and papam. So you have to accept that, right? And Mahat bhayam is in relation to the law of karma. If a person violates the law of karma, the law punishes without mercy, without discrimination. Vinashaya dushkritam. And therefore, it is said that Bhagavan is standing like Udayatam Vajram, like a person with an uplifted weapon, ready to kill. Right? So this is one of the Puranic visualizations that Bhagavan will come and beat you up if you do something wrong. This is the indication that Ishvara is Nimitta Karana. But to understand it properly, you have to stop thinking of Ishvara as a person. You know, the problem is whenever you think of Ishvara as a person, your understanding is colored. Therefore, but if you imagine Ishvara as a formless intelligence principle or a consciousness principle, then it is easier to understand. And this Brahman, I have to know as what? As myself. Therefore, I have to know that I am the nimitta upadana karana of this universe. What is the benefit? Te amritaha bhavanti. You transcend time. You escape from Yamraja's hands. And how do you say that the Jagat functions out of fear of Brahman? Note that this is Saguna Brahman, Karana Brahman, right? And in that Karana Brahman, all devatas represent Adidaivam, Adhyatmam, natural forces. So this is the meaning of when you say that whole universe functions out of fear. And then Mahad Brahman, how it functions out of fear is explained in mantra number 3, which we will see in the next class. Any questions? Oh. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Meva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience. Om
Om